Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. So this article is from Ted Lieu, Congressman for California's 36th District. Give me a second here. So the article is dated June 10th, 2020. Author is Jonah Valdez from San Gabriel Valley Tribune. Seven Los Angeles Police Department officers have been assigned to non-field duties and amid investigations into 58 complaints of excessive use of force or other misconduct during the recent civil unrest and protests against police brutality, department officials said Wednesday. So, what is that old saying? Same thing, different day or something? The department said 28 of the complaints involve alleged uses of force. If there's consequences, including suspension or removal, those will come, Mayor Eric Garcetti said of the officers under investigation. I'm definitely going to do some follow-up into that one. L.A.P.D said it has 40 investigators assigned to examining the complaints, which include social media videos. Oh, so that sounds familiar. Photographs and footage from body-worn cameras depicting the incidents. Garcetti said during a news conference that an independent inspector general would oversee the investigations. Throughout the first week of protests after the death of George Floyd, who died after a Minneapolis police officer knelt on his neck, that's code, by the way. Look up neck in the Gematrinator. For nearly 9 minutes. 9 is also code. LAPD officers often met protesters challenging dispersal or curfew orders with batons or by firing rubber bullets and tear gas into crowds of demonstrators. You guys ever heard order out of chaos? A photographer with the Southern California News Group captured images of a homeless man on a wheelchair, conveniently, who had been struck by a rubber bullet round above his left eye. Of course it's on his left eye. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, one eye symbolism. Drawing blood in a large welt. Officers had been clearing an area in downtown Los Angeles on the evening of June 2nd to enforce a citywide curfew after a day of peaceful protests. Videos of the uses of force began to surface across social media, including CBS Los Angeles television news footage from May 31st that shows an LAPD cruiser driving forward towards several protesters in downtown Los Angeles near Pershing Square, striking several of them before speeding away. I think there's a little more to this story, but I'm going to stay on point. On June 3rd, LAPD had announced it would begin to investigate each instance thoroughly and hold any officer who violates department policy accountable. Yeah, because we know we can count on them, huh? Josh Rubenstein, spokesman for the LAPD, said the videos and photograph are a part of the department's internal investigations. The officers assigned to non-field duties were not immediately publicly identified by the L.A.P.D. Conveniently. There's not even a semblance of justice. Not even pretending to do the right thing. None of the officers were named. Unreal. And they're all public officials. Garcetti also said Wednesday that he was very troubled by the footage he saw of some of the incidents. Wonder what he did after he felt troubled. We know that nobody hates a cop that does the wrong thing more than a good cop, Garcetti said. And excessive force has no place in Los Angeles. The union that represents more than 9,900 LAPD officers said through a spokesman that it supports the department's investigation and that, based on the facts, trusts the department to take the proper actions. Though just last week, LAPD Detective Jamie McBride, one of the union's directors, defended officers seeing in videos of the incidents. Of course he did. Including footage depicting the police vehicle driving into protesters. There's way more to that, but I'm not going to go there. McBride said the officers were fearful and were reacting to protesters' attacks. However, such alleged attacks are not clearly depicted on the videos. Of course not. Following the announcement of the complaints of misconduct, Los Angeles City Council members Monica Rodriguez, Marquise Harris Dawson, and Mike Bonin introduced legislation that calls for a review of LAPD's crowd control actions and an independent review of LAPD's use of force during protests to be handled by Gerald Shaliff, who had been previously called on to author a report about a 2006 May Day incident. May Day is a holiday too. Anybody in the know will know what I'm saying. At MacArthur Park, where demonstrators had clashed with police. The legislation also called for an analysis of the arrests of protesters and whether police took steps to reduce the spread of COVID-19. The footage and accounts are disturbing and call into question the use of force by LAPD, said Rodriguez, who chairs the city's Public Safety Committee, in a statement on Wednesday evening. Late Friday evening, Black Lives Matter Los Angeles and Los Angeles Community Action Network sued the city, alleging the LAPD had used excessive force on protesters and violated their free speech rights during demonstrations and arrests. Included in the federal class action lawsuit was a photograph of the injured homeless man on a wheelchair. You guys notice they're highlighting the guy in the wheelchair with the eye injury. That same day, U.S. Rep. Ted Lieu, whose district includes the Fairfax district where tense standoffs between police and protesters took place, penned a letter to Eileen Decker, president of the Los Angeles Police Commission, calling on her to investigate the uses of force and for the department to review its policies on how it uses force against protesters. I mean, look at what's happening with the ex-Scientologists and the child advocates out there in front of that blue building. And La Poubelle. News reports and disturbing social media footage taken by eyewitnesses appear to show uniformed members of the Los Angeles Police Department physically assaulting protesters, some of whom were retreating. You guys don't think these kind of cops go home and beat their wives? with batons, rubber bullets, and some sort of chemical spray. Oh, like the... I'm sorry to laugh, but how they try to accuse DOA of using tear gas? Lou wrote, during these difficult times, as our nation and this city tackle generations of targeted violence by civilians and police against Black Americans. I'm not even going to touch that, you guys. I'm not, because we all know about propaganda. The gathering of people to express their views and concerns should not be met with more violence. Last week, our city instructed police to minimize their use of rubber bullets during protests. As protests continued peacefully and with looting having subsided, the city lifted its curfew by the end of the week. The curfew is also the subject of a separate federal civil rights lawsuit filed by the ACLU and Black Lives Matter Los Angeles. So I just read that to kind of give context to a lot of the things that are going on right now. And something tells me all those 58 charges of misconduct, something tells me absolutely nothing happened. So this is just for informational purposes only, educational. And I hope that you guys enjoy the information. Peace. Have a good day or night wherever you are.